Hi, and welcome back to Living My Fest Life, a podcast about festivals, fairs, events, and experiences, everything from the nationally known to the local and obscure. And today I'm talking about a festival that is going on right now as I record this. It is the world's largest festival, Oktoberfest. Let's get into it.
I'm living my best life.
So for this week's episode, first I'm going to give you some history about Oktoberfest, why we celebrate it, where it came from, some of the traditions. I'm going to give you a lot of dates. I'm sorry about that. That's just how I learn. I like to know what the chronological evolution of a festival is. And then I'm going to speak to my friend Rachel on the phone. Rachel lives in Germany right now, but she's from Cincinnati and is one of my very best friends. So she's going to tell me a little bit about what her experiences were when she went to Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany. So Oktoberfest is held annually in Munich, Germany, and it is 16 to 18 days. I mean, it is a long festival. It usually runs from the mid of September to like the first Sunday in October. Sometimes the time frame varies, but more than 6 million people from around the world attend every single year. And of course, your town might have an Oktoberfest that it throws. It's probably modeled off of Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany, but it actually started 1810. Wow, that is so long ago. That is over 200 years ago, you guys. They have celebrated this festival. It started with a wedding, like most celebrations. So after the wedding year and the horse racing year, it started to grow every single year. The next focus, in about the 1813, they began to add agriculture. They're like, we're going to focus on our dope agriculture. And then for horse races, instead of just having that to be the only sport or spectation, they did tree climbing, they did swings, they had bowling alleys. And then a few years later, they added carnival booths where they would give away prizes like jewelry, which was really cool. I mean, we don't do stuff like that. Maybe a claw machine that you try and struggle to pick up, but we don't have that back then. And then in 1854, the festival was canceled after 3,000 residents in Munich, including the Queen, died in a cholera epidemic. And there was no Oktoberfest also in 1866 because Bavaria was involved in the Austro-Prussian War. And then again in 1873, the festival was canceled again due to cholera. Let's see, electricity started to illuminate the booths in 1880. 1881, the booths selling bratwurst opened, and the first beer was served in glass mugs in 1892. So looking back, I had no idea that they didn't serve beer in glass mugs until 1892. So at the end of the 19th century, they reorganized. They added more games. They added large dance floors to the festival, more beer booths. They wanted room for more guests, more musicians, and it just became bigger and bigger. 1887, the parade of the Oktoberfest staff and breweries took place for the first time. So they showcased their horse teams, showcased their breweries. They had bands that would accompany them during the parades. So they really started to step up the showmanship of it all, make it a competition between the breweries. So digging into this 20th century, due to World War I, Oktoberfest was temporarily suspended again from 1914 to 1918, and then 2 years after the war, in 1919 and 1920, it was replaced by a celebration they called the Smaller Autumn Celebration, and that was due to things like hyperinflation and the war. And then during, the Nazi years, Jews were forbidden to work in the beer gardens and in the Wiesen, which, we all hate Nazis. The worst part of this. They used this as a way to gain national pride. They used the slogan, "Proud City, Cheerful Country," and it was meant to show the overcoming of differences between the classes. In 1938, after Hitler had annexed Austria, and after the Munich Agreement, Oktoberfest was renamed to what can be transcribed to Greater German Folk Festival to show the strength of the Nazi regime at the time. So they just decided, hey, we're just going to change this name. And then they didn't celebrate Oktoberfest during the war from 39 to 45. Following the war, from 46 to 48, they only celebrated that Autumn Fest that they talked about. So that's a long period of time where it was not celebrated. And nor should it have been. Germany, like, come on. What were you doing? Let's not forget that. But since that time, Oktoberfest has been celebrated every single year. So beginning in 1950, the festival has always been opened in the same traditional procedure. At noon, a 12-gun salute, followed by the tapping of the first keg of beer by the mayor of Munich, with the proclamation, oh, I'm going to say this wrong, Ozaptis, oh gosh, it's tapped. I don't know how to say that. I'm so sorry. It's tapped. That sounds like a fun celebration. Everybody just waiting for the ceremony tapping of the keg, like a high school party. That sounds a lot of fun. Before the festival starts, the parades are held, of course. The beer tent waitresses are participating. The landlord's participating. So what's it like there? What's the vibe? You dress up. So during Oktoberfest, the locals wear the Bavarian hats. I've seen those around my Oktoberfest before. So the vibe is people dress up. They wear their lederhosen, they wear their hats, they get their pins, and they drink a lot of beer, and they celebrate, and they dance, and they come together just to celebrate the end of the season. Unfortunately, in 1980, a pipe bomb was set off in a dustbin near the toilets of the main entrance. It was an empty fire extinguisher filled with TNT, and tragically, 13 people were killed and over 201 injured. So this is the second deadliest terrorist attack in the history of Germany after the Munich massacre at the time. So you got to think, when there's a big celebration like that, there's always going to be some white-ring extremists. And this guy, I'm not even going to say his name because I'm not going to give credit to someone like that, was a social outcast who was killed in the explosion and ruins the party once again. I don't know why people do shit like that, but that is not something I knew about Oktoberfest. That was in 1980. Oktoberfest, in our day and age, has improved a lot. Since the 1970s, there have been local gay groups that have organized gay days at Oktoberfest. So it's been more progressive in the later years. The beer tents have developed tents for the elderly, tents for families, trying to make it as inclusive for people as they can. They have quiet days where until 6 p.m. the orchestras in the tents only play quiet brass music. For example, traditional folk music, which I think is cool because after that they get out the pop music, they get the electrical music out, and they said that the music, the pop and electrical music, had led to excessive violence in earlier years. So now they limit it, and they limit it to 85 decibels, so it's quieter. It's quiet time. So it looks like they're being proactive around the safety. And here's something cool. In 2008, there was a law that passed to ban smoking in all the enclosed spaces open to the public because it was very hard to enforce the anti-smoking laws in the big tents. So the smoking in the tents is still legal, but the tents usually have non-smoking area. That's where I would be hanging out, just drinking my beer in the quiet area, the quiet tent in the non-smoking area, just watching the little kids dance up and down. That's my Oktoberfest right there. So here's something cool and a really great tradition, I think. Only beer coming from and brewed within the city limits of Munich can be served at the Munich Oktoberfest. So there are 6 breweries that can produce Oktoberfest beer under this criteria. And there is a criteria that they have to meet. Has to be medium to full body, varying color from pale through amber to dark brown. It has a malty flavor and a dry, clean finish. Ooh, are you guys with the, brewery presents that your, wife got you from Sky Mall just salivating right now? And one of the highlights of the ceremonial beer tapping. So every year the visitors wait to see how many strokes the mayor can use before the first beer flows. So they make bets on this. It's really cool. So the best a mayor did was 2 strokes. And there was one mayor in 1950 who took 19 strokes on the beer tap. So people probably lost a lot of money betting on that guy. But don't worry, since the bombing in 1980, the entrance was redesigned. And every year they've taken some public safety measures For example, like in 2010, they no longer allow animals. In 2012, they banned glass bottles after, people were getting cut and injured on glass bottles. Let's see, 2011, the security measures were once again increased. 170 retractable bollards were designed to prevent forcible access by a vehicle. Retractable security fence was added, a security concept. They have 450 security guards that stand at 13 official entrances. So this place is pretty secure now. They've taken a lot of precautions since then. Let's talk about power. 43 kilometers of cable and 18 partially underground transformers to power Oktoberfest. Oof, it's a lot of gigawatts, Basically, this is one of the largest events in the world, not only in Germany. Because a power shortage can lead to a panic, they have tons of redundancies and tons of backups. So if you look up before you want to go to Oktoberfest, you want to know which tent you want to be in. There are 14 large tents and 20 small tents at Oktoberfest. The tents are wooden. So basically, different tents, they serve different beer or wine. And they all coordinate with different breweries. So you want to make sure you want to know what brewery you're going to go to, what tent you're going to go to, and how much seating is inside. One of the largest tents will seat about 8,000 inside and 2,000 outside. And the smaller tents, some of them only seat up to 300 people. So you definitely want to make sure that you know where you're going and what tent you want to meet your friends at, because you could get lost. The smallest of the largest tents is Käferweisensteig. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize, people of Germany. It's frequented by celebrities and is known for its food. The wine tent. There's a wine tent, offers selection more than 15 wines. Every tent kind of has its own highlights. So the Buzuros tent translates to Brewer's Rosemary. Named after the daughter of the original brewery owner, this tent has an unusual brass band and a yodeler. So I would be hanging out in that tent. And on the first night of the festival, it hosts the popular gay and lesbian party. So that seems like a fun tent. There's a tent that serves traditional roasted ox dishes. There's a tent that serves a lot of fish dishes. There's a tent that translates to the crossbowman's tent, which is a tradition. It's a competition that has been part of Oktoberfest since the 1800s. Crossbows, Katniss?
I'm living my best life.
There's different beer fests throughout Germany, but a lot of it is based on the beer kellers opening up. So it's the first tapping of their beers for the season. I don't think that's what Oktoberfest is. I think it's become more of a a touristy thing.
Yeah, so tell me about when you went. How long had you been living in Germany when you went, and who did you go with?
The first time I went, I had been living in Germany for 5 months, and I went with a colleague from my previous company, and we met there for the first time.
So what did they say? Did they say, meet me in the big tent, the small tent? Because there's 100, there's tons of different tents.
There's tons of different tents, but no, I met her at a friend's house because it's way easier to meet outside of the festival, and then we went together because there's so many different tents, and they're all based on different beer companies and different sizes, and it's really, really crazy to find people inside because there's hundreds of people in a tent.
Yeah.
And depending on, how good their directions are to find them, it's really difficult.
They're like, we're the one in the Lederhosen.
Yeah. I'm in the dirndl, in the blue dirndl. Okay.
So did you wear a dirndl when you went?
I did. I bought one the weekend before.
I feel like those are so sexy on women. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I just think they're so cute.
I have a friend going on Thursday, and she bought one. It's a bit more conservative. So there's all kinds of them. There's some that are more of a full vest where they don't have the tatas hanging out. There's some that are to really enhance that area of your body. But there's different versions, and there's also long ones and short ones, and you can You can tell a lot about a person by their dirndl,
Their
I
dirndl?
think.
Do you know what it's based off
Personality.
of? Was it just like the garb they wore at the time, or is it like a?
Yeah,
is it,
it's the traditional dress of that area.
Okay.
So, Martin, growing up in a village near Nuremberg, they have a different traditional dress.
Oh, okay.
It's similar, but it's definitely looks different as well. You can tell the difference in the region based on what their traditional dress was.
so what did you do when you got to Oktoberfest? Like, what is the highlights? Is it just drinking, or is there other things?
I think the highlight is one, people watching, clearly.
Yes.
Go for the
but
beer,
they
stay
have-
for the people watching.
Yeah, exactly. They have really interesting music. So, depending probably on the tent that you go in, depends on the band that's playing, but they have like traditional music and German songs. Like people stand on the tables and they sing, and it's just a fun time for people to kind of let loose and enjoy. There's definitely lots of drinking. And one of the things to be on a table or at a table, I mean, obviously the people that are serving are there to make money. So it's full on, like, if you don't have a full beer in your hand, like, and you're not looking to buy another one, they will kick you out. So
Okay.
you really need to drink. You need to buy food. Like, they're constantly asking people for what's next. Where's the money?
Yeah.
And if you're not there spending money, then they want you to move.
Yeah, there's no lollygagging at the Oktoberfest. You're there for a purpose, so do your thing. Okay.
Yeah, you're there to drink and spend money.
Yeah.
But for non-locals, the best advice I would give is have lots of cash on you. They won't take credit card, so you need
Yeah.
to have cash. And there's what's called fond. So you pay for the glass, like the mug, and then you can get money back. You cannot take the mugs with you. They do check at the exit. But you can purchase one, like at a store.
And are those like the beer steins? Do people drink out of
those?
those?
Okay.
The liter steins, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do they drink out of boots? Or is there anything else that's like kind of, is that a dumb question?
Like stereotypical.
Yeah, like tell me everything that's wrong that I know about it. Like,
I don't think so, babe. Do they have boots? They don't have the DOS boots
Das boots?
at Oktoberfest, do they? You know, like in what is it?
The drinking movie.
What's the beer?
Beer Fest.
Beer Fest. It is
Yeah.
Beer Fest. In the movie Beer Fest, how they drank out of the boot? He said no, they don't. He gave me a shit look. How dare you?
Well, this is why I do the podcast, is because I want to know like what actually goes on at festivals that I haven't been to, so that you don't show up looking like a dumb tourist with your
Yeah.
credit card and your binoculars and your
Right.
Yeah. So
No, you definitely need. The other thing is interesting. I believe, and again, I need to clarify with Martin once he goes tomorrow, but you typically have to pay for the toilet. So you need like 50 cent change. So it's good to keep the coins because you do pay.
and yeah, you're gonna be
Because-
drinking the whole time, so you do need to pee. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you need. They keep them clean. So
Yeah.
as much how annoying it is, like, oh my gosh, I just have to go to the toilet. I don't want to dig for 50 cents. It's worth it because their toilets are clean. They're filled with toilet paper. You're not like asking the girl next to the stall, like, hey, help a sister out. Like,
Yeah.
but it is worth training the bladder because those lines are not forgiving.
Okay, that's a
So-
very, very good tip. What about like cheersing and speaking the language? Like how much
Cheersing is Prost.
Prost, yeah.
Prost. And trust me, whoever goes will not forget it because there's a whole song called I'm Prosting. So I'm cheersing.
Yeah.
And they play it like every 15 minutes. And people, but and again, I can't remember if you can get half liters, which is actually manageable to hold. The liters are heavy. So it's worth maybe 2 hands, but you got to be careful because you know how drunk guys can be. They want to cheers as hard as they can to see if the other guys glass breaks.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's definitely worth, like, you
Yeah.
know, not being so aggressive, because
I just
one,
picture
you don't
you
want
in
to
a
spill beer all over.
Yeah, you're in a cute little dirndl drinking your beer with both hands like a child.
Mhm.
Cheersing for the first time. Prost. Okay.
Prost.
Yeah.
But for people who go, I mean, you don't have to wear a dirndl, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like, mandatory. But if you know, like Halloween, there's few occasions it's acceptable to dress a certain way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely fun to go in a dirndl and
I would definitely go in a
see
dirndl for
everyone's-
sure.
Yeah, it's the other thing is it is a festival, so there's like kids there. Like,
I was just gonna
not in
ask
the
that.
tent,
Yeah.
but outside, like, there's games and there's rides. Like, a lot of people go with their families because it's just a festival for every age. But yeah, I mean, the majority is drinking. And in Germany, the legal drinking age for beer is 16. So
Nice.
it's definitely a lot of mixed age folk.
Okay, what about food? What's the best food to eat there?
Bavarian pretzel.
No, well, the interesting thing is it's all very salty.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're eating salt, you're more thirsty. So then they can sell more beer. So what I had was like a half chicken with some like potato salad, and it's filling and it's good, but it is quite salty.
Okay, good to know.
The pretzels, again, same. They're good, but if you want something to like fill your stomach and continue drinking, I definitely go for like a hearty meal.
Yes. Some of the schnitzels or something. And I was trying to name a bunch of the beer tents, and I was just like butchering all the German. And I was like, I apologize to Germany. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to learn.
I know.
Yeah.
What you need to know is ein Bier bitte.
What's
which
that?
is please. Bitte is please.
Bitte? Beer?
Bitte. B-I-T-T-E.
And then
is
Danke
bitte.
schön.
And Danke schön is like thank you.
Okay.
But Danke is like thanks.
Thanks. Danke.
Danke.
Bitte Bier. Bier bitte? Why do I
Bier
sound...
bitte.
I sound like a super villain when I say it. I don't know why that accent came out.
Bitte.
Okay. Anything else that you think I should note?
Definitely, if you're going to go with a crowd, I would say meet people outside
Okay. That's good
or
advice.
in a good location and then try to go in. The other thing is there's two segments. So you cannot stay at a table all day long. You have to leave the tent. They clear out everything at 5 to then reopen for 6, I believe. There's like a gap. So it's not that you can just like hoard a table all day long. They do like kick you out after a certain point, and then you can go back in or go to another tent. But it's not that you can just be there
Bunker
all day
down.
long.
That's probably good. That's probably good for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It gives people, time to chill out, drink some water, relax, and then you can start phase 2. But the other thing is beer is like 12% alcohol, so it's like,
Yeah, I think it's
Strong.
something that was like
like, the gravity was different than regular beer or something like that. Like,
it's really strong beer. So pace yourself is, a good advice, because especially if you're going to be there all day or at least for several hours, yes, they're going to try to harass you to drink more, but at the same time, it's worth pacing yourself and eating and, taking care, because it calls for a long day.
yeah, it's a long day. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So,
The second time I went at a table. So I had a friend who had bought a table, and that was more delightful because it was a private tent and less, chaotic. But I would say for people who really, if it's on their bucket list, to do the research, to plan ahead, people book out tables years in advance, and a lot of companies have tables. So, kind of leveraging your network to see if anybody in the area has a couple extra tickets. But yeah, it's definitely worth making sure you have enough euros on you. tipping is, obviously these people are carrying, like, it's incredible the strength of these people carrying tons of beer mugs at one time and, managing all the chaos. But I would say to respect them, give them a euro, give them a little tip. Also, to not stand in the aisles because clearly they need to walk around to serve everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So they will, if you're not at a table, like, ask you to leave. So it's worth making sure that you're at a table. If your table has people standing up, stand up, enjoy, sing, and,
Okay.
take care of yourself.
Last
Smart,
question.
right?
Is the chicken dance just a Cincinnati thing, or do they do it there?
They did not do it when I was there.
Why
that
do
I
we do that?
recall. Granted, I, had a couple liters of beer, so I can't guarantee.
You're like,
that
I
they
had
don't.
chicken today.
I had a couple beers.
I had a couple beers. I had a
Couple chickens. I don't know if we danced. Okay.
But the Cincinnati Oktoberfest is actually really nice, and it's done well, and you can try a lot of different beers and get some cool memorabilia.
Yeah, I know.
Represent your local Germanian society.
We're one of the few cities that actually have a Hofbrauhaus outside of Germany. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
pretty cool that we have
It's very cool.
our own authentic German brewery in our city.
It is worth going to the Munich Hofbrauhaus. It's huge, and they have traditional music, traditional dancers. It's definitely a show. It's not just sitting there and eating.
Did you feel more German after you went? Did you feel more immersed in your culture?
I think having grown up in Cincinnati, always having this connection with German society and being half German, I feel like it's always been something I never really thought much about, but having moved to Germany and not speaking German, it's a realization that as much as we feel our roots are German, it's not.
We don't know as much as we think we do.
Different
You just got to be
Germany.
in there sometimes. You got to be with the people.
Yeah, and you can see so many tourists, and you can kind of tell who's local, who's tourist. It's, again, great people watching.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely I would just say, if it's on your bucket list, definitely go. It's an experience. But if you're traveling to Germany for holiday and are interested, take a look around the areas that you're going to or you want to, because there are beer festivals all year long, and it's not just designated to Oktoberfest. So explore. There's a lot more than just Oktoberfest that you can see. If you do plan to go, book places early because it's really expensive. Of course, all the locals know that there's so many tourists coming in from out of town, so they upcharge everything.
Okay.
Even the hotels. So if, like, the trains here are very simple to use, I would recommend not staying in the city, but maybe on an outskirt or a nearby town. It just saves a bit of money.
Taking the train in Munich, okay.
Yeah, the other good advice, if people are interested in partying, there are after parties, after party tents that you can go to.
Okay.
Just ask around.
Are they like the secret tents, like secret after parties, or like?
Well,
no.
it closes at 11.
Okay.
So the whole festival closes at 11, but there are, things going on in the city after, and there's definitely more, events going on in
Wink.
the evening.
Yeah, where to go?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And obviously the weekends are the, most occupied. So depending on your level of tolerance of crowd, choose the date wisely. Probably not the first weekend, not the last weekend, maybe during a weekday. If people are traveling in from out of town, maybe spend the weekends exploring the nearby castles and cities around Munich, and then designate like a day to the Oktoberfest during the week.
That's perfect advice.
I'm living my best life.
special thanks to my friend Rachel Wenzel, who is an expat living in Nuremberg, Germany right now, for getting on the phone and talking to me about her experiences having attended several Oktoberfests as an American. Lots of planning should go into it. It's not a normal festival. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need so you're not overwhelmed when you get inside. So do your research, and hopefully this helped out a little bit. She gave some great tips, I really feel like. If you have a festival you'd like us to talk about, you can go to festlifepodcast@gmail.com and tell us about it. We already got some emails coming in, so I can't wait to get a couple more so I can read those off in a special mini-isode, talk to you about what people think we should talk about. And please feel free to follow us on Instagram. Don't even feel free. Fucking just do it. Just follow us on Instagram, please. And tell your friends about us. And yeah, go fest yourself. Special thanks to Phil from Mi Compadre for doing the editing for the show.
If you're broke,
Then save your money.
get